Hi, I'm Malak Fuad, and welcome to a special episode of What I Did Next from A&T Media. This season, we've partnered with the Egypt Fashion and Design Council, which is launching the first edition of Egypt Fashion Week from May the 12th to May the 15th. If you're in Cairo during that time, come and check it out. I'm joined on this episode by two of the council's co-founders, Paul Antaki and Susan Sabet. Of course, in true What I Did Next tradition, we kicked off our conversation by asking who they'd invite to their dinner party.
The evening would start with a cocktail and then a dinner and then a dancing. So we'll have the three, hopefully, if the guests agree.
Good.
It's a difficult question because now, if there are only 3 or 4, it's a tough decision. So I'd probably then stick to George Clooney, Brad Pitt, and maybe Julia Roberts. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
But you had told me that you're very into tennis.
Yes, but if we only can invite 3 or 4, so let's stick to the stars.
If you could add a couple more, who would you
then
add?
if I can add a couple more, I would add Roger Federer, and I would add Dominic Thiem, which won't tell you anything, but he's an Austrian tennis player. I would add another tennis player called Emma Raducanu, a young girl.
Yeah.
English. Yeah, I would add Anna Wintour.
Of course.
Yeah. And the Aga Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? If it's somebody who is not alive anymore, would be Grace Kelly. And maybe Gregory Peck. So
Fun.
yeah,
the classics. You're very classic.
Clark Gable and Clark Gable, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And you, Paul, how would your dinner party be?
Cocktail and dinner, definitely. Dancing, I'm not sure.
Why?
Because I prefer conversations, deep conversations.
Yeah.
This is what I would look at.
And who would you have?
I like philosophers. So
this is your French background.
Yes, Jean-Jacques Rousseau is one of my favorites. Yeah. If I go back, I would definitely would have liked to meet Aristotle. Sportsman Roger Federer, because also I play tennis and I'm a fan of tennis. But also I would love to have Pelé, for instance, around.
Then what a life he led, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Then we would talk women, like Ava Gardner.
Of course.
Ava Gardner is one of my favorite actresses. I think she was one of the most beautiful. And that are still living, I think Charlize Theron is also one of my favorites.
Interesting that neither of you have gone for fashion people.
But we see them anyway all the time,
That's really interesting.
At least I see them at the fashion weeks. I'm in a lot of dinners where they are.
Except Anna Wintour. You added Anna Wintour.
But
I was getting to that.
Okay.
Getting to the last person to put some peps in the Aada.
Yeah.
It would be Jean-Paul Gaultier.
What fun that would be.
Yes.
Yeah, because the philosophers is not going to make up.
He is someone that is very deep.
Yeah.
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Yeah. No, I agree with him. I was just saying.
I'm sure he can talk with philosophers.
But I think anyone who has had a French education, it's a prerequisite to be able to have deep conversations. I don't think you can graduate from any French system without having the ability to do that.
Yeah. Malak, let me ask you, whose party you'd rather come to, his or mine?
Well, I noticed there's an overlap. So you both have Roger Federer.
Well, that's one person and the rest.
I think what I would do, I'd start at Paul and then I'd come to dance at your house. Let's talk a little bit about the ideas behind the EFDC and the Egypt Fashion Week. Maybe, Paul, you could start with how the idea began, when it began, and how it evolved.
The EFDC goes back to 2017 when Susan talked to me about it when we were playing tennis, actually. Egypt Fashion Week came 2 years later in 2019. It was also Susan's idea because we wanted to gather the designers, help them to show them to the world, etc. And during a meeting, she said, what is better than a fashion week? And it never happened in Egypt. So I agreed. And we all agreed, actually. It was a board meeting. And we all agreed that it would be really something different and good. We were in 2019 looking at it for November 2020. So a year later, which is something that needs to be prepared. But then, the rest is history. 2022, people were not really ready to move yet. So finally, we decided for the current date that we announced, which is May 2023.
Is there a theme or a concept behind what this first inaugural event will be? I know you've spoken a lot about sustainable fashion. I know that's very much part of the ethos this
Yes.
year. What else is involved?
Our title of the first edition is The Past, Present, and Future. Why the past? Because you should honor and be inspired by your culture and history, and the present because we do live in the present. We know what's happening in the fashion industry, so we are on par with that. And the future because we also know where we have to be in a couple of years and how the fashion industry is evolving, not only in technology but also in marketing and in everything, in every aspect. So this is our theme. And of course, sustainability is very much for the three, actually, because the fair is also, I mean, the way they produce the linens, the flax and everything to today, how we know that the industry, you have to be sustainable to be able to grow, to be an export, etc. And that's where everything is going.
Of course.
So sustainable is one of the big topics.
And this is an issue that will be every year. It's
course.
not a 1 year only
Of course not.
issue.
No. Sustainability is...
It's forever.
Is forever.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about the financing. How have you raised money to put this show on? Presumably you're in partnership with the government to a certain extent, because there's a massive tourism element to this as well. Tell me a little bit about how you put all that together.
Well, that was one of the, in my opinion, of course, I know that Susan is working very hard putting everything together, but to put everything together and to make it happen, you need to raise money. The EFDC is an NGO, so non-profitable. This is an important part when you present to sponsors an event, when you want to raise money. They always look at you like, how much you're going to do out of my money.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say it's an NGO. It's not for me. It's not for us. It's for the designer. It's for the event. It's for Egypt. It's for a showcase for Egypt to be on the international scene, to be in the radar of fashion, etc., etc. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of sponsors that were keen and ready immediately to put money in an event where the fashion is related only to designers in Egypt. Most of them wanted to hear the name of Dior, of Chanel, of names like this to associate with. In that case, they would be ready to pay. I had a hard time. You know, you have to sell your story, and you have to make a lot of effort to be able to convince people in front of you that if you have bad experience of events that were done in Egypt and were not up to standard, I'm putting my reputation in stake. And I cannot afford that, after my long career in this industry, to do something that is mediocre. It has to be perfect. Now, perfection, maybe we're not going to be like New York or Paris, but we are going to do something that will make us proud in front of the guests that we are inviting. And these guests are coming because they are from the industry, because they hear a lot about Egypt, and because we also think that we can show them something.
Yeah, like Paul said, these guests are coming to see, they go everywhere in the world, they go to fashion weeks everywhere. They're not coming here to see foreign designers. They want to see our talents. They want to see what Egypt can do. They don't care to see next year's collections, but they want to see the quality, the talent, etc. And also one of the big, so Egypt is so much more than just runway and exhibition of our designers. It's also connecting the industry. So we have the Saudi Fashion Commission coming in. We have Lagos Fashion Week. We have from Jordan. We have from Morocco, Tunis. And one of our sponsors, African Export Import Bank, who is very keen on seeing Egypt Fashion Week as the annual hub where the industry, the Africa and the continent connects, because a lot of them are looking for production facilities, whether it is in small quantities so they can work with our small younger designers that have small ateliers, or it's big production so they can work with the bigger factories. We've already connected in the lead up the Saudi Hayat Al Azia, this fashion commission and association, with one of the schools here, because they're interested of opening fashion schools there. So there's a lot of networking. We will have talks of financing.
You know what I find interesting, because as you might know, my podcast, What I Did Next, focuses very much on people's pivot points in life and how some people, most of us, have had failures in life, and you learn from your failures, and it often leads to success down the line. So I find it interesting that I wonder, it's just a rhetorical question, whether if you had launched in 2019 or 2020 as planned, maybe the timing wouldn't have been right. This year, inshallah, we have the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum. We've just had the Dior event a few months ago. There's a spotlight on the country now, and there's a renewed interest in the country. It's 100 years from when Carter discovered Tutankhamun. There's a lot going on with Egypt in the news this year, and it just seems actually like good timing for this event to be happening this year.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But coming back to the money, they would tell you, you're coming on the wrong time. Economical situation, we don't have money, we don't have budgets, we don't have this, we don't have that. But you can always find budgets if you are convinced that this is the right event you should be in. Nevertheless, I think we've done well so far. We raised, I hope, enough not to have a deficit. I'm still looking also for other sponsors to come on board. But I want to say also that our ambition is to be on the Fashion Week calendars of the world, but May is not in the calendar, but that is also because we want to show what we can do. Because designers were asking at the time, what are we going to present? Summer, winter, autumn? And we said, no, we want you to present what you can do.
Yeah.
We want you to present your capabilities.
Yeah.
And for also the domestic market. People have to know during those 2 days that they can count on the Egyptian product. They can buy Egyptian products. They can dress with Egyptian products. They don't have to wait until import is open again and to buy imported products. Why?
I just want to add to Paul what he's saying for the coverage we have, media partners. I mean, having Eurovision as a media partner that has over 400 media outlets, and we've already, since the press conference, had amazing coverage that we are collecting now, all the data to see how much it gives us in value. So I think, like you said, all eyes are on Egypt. And this is the right moment.
Yeah.
That does not mean, again, that 2019 would have been a worse time to do it, because the people I invited and the people I see all the time, they were always eager to come.
That's
They
right.
said, please, Susan, make us a fashion week. We want to come to Egypt, so that's something.
Why don't you walk us through a little bit the actual week itself? So Egypt Fashion Week is starting on May 12th.
Yeah, so we start on the 12th of May with the opening night, which is a 500 VIP event at the Egyptian Museum downtown. It's, of course, magnificent. And we have a fashion show, Best of Egyptian Designers, which is curated by an American stylist, Julie Matos, who does fashion shoots, celebrity styling, fashion shows, etc. So, and she's going to work also with local stylists that are, because we want to engage the community. This is part of the program of Egypt Fashion Week. That as many people, talented people in the fashion industry in Egypt are part of this event. So this is on the 12th. Then, of course, gala dinner, speeches, etc., entertainment. On the 13th and 14th, we are in the Museum of Agriculture. Now, the Museum of Agriculture has been closed for 5 years for renovation. It's a magnificent space. I mean, it's just magically in the heart of Doi. And it has the Cotton Museum, which of course ties in perfectly for us. This museum will be the exhibition space for the fashion schools that are with us from Egypt, from Dubai, from France, from Morocco, Tunis, and Jordan. And then we have the fashion councils like the Saudi Fashion Commission, ourselves. Then we have Lagos Fashion Week organizer, Jordan Fashion Week, Creative Space Beirut. So we have all these people are in there. GTEX, of course, also very important, one of our partners. Across it is another magnificent building, which is the Museum of Natural History. This is where you'll find the exhibitions of ready-to-wear couture, accessory, and jewelry designers. Third building, which is the theater, which used to be the private movie theater of King Farouk, is where all the talks will happen.
Are these all connected?
They're all in one, they're all part
in one structure.
in the garden of the Agricultural Museum grounds.
One
Common garden for all three.
I see.
Yes.
I see. I've never been to it.
See, that's also the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Most people have
Most
never been
people
there.
haven't,
But it's
yeah.
been closed now for
Yeah,
5 years, so
yeah.
it's opening with us.
Yeah.
In the middle, you have a catwalk where you will have the fashion shows happening. There'll be restaurants, there will be a lot of other entertainment facilities. So we really want people to come at 10 in the morning and leave at 6:30 in the evening. Be there with us the whole day because they will have something to see all day long.
And to listen to also.
And to listen
course,
to,
of
yes.
course, of course.
And the last day we will be on the 15th, we'll be at Mall of Arabia where you can actually shop. It's called Shop the Runway. So I think the 3 days plus the opening night is, though it's called a week, it's right, it's perfect, it's
Yeah.
not too long, because I know when sometimes I go to fashion weeks and after the 4th day I say, okay,
Enough.
it's enough. We've seen what we have to see, and
Actually, our aim is to get as many people as we can out of the coverage for the 2 days that are in the Museum of Agriculture, because this is where we can really have our showcase, and this is where guests and local responsibles of the industry can know what's really happening in that industry.
They'll network, they'll
Of course,
connect there, they
of
can talk
course.
to people, there'll be master classes, the schools are doing master classes, for instance, the Azza Family Design Studio is doing master classes, so you have a lot of activities going on.
And how do you envisage this as an annual event? Are you waiting for the first event to happen and then see what worked, what didn't, see how you can take it forward? What are you thinking long term for this?
For long term, it should eventually be seasonal. I mean, twice a year, like any other big fashion.
That's the ambition.
But this is, for the time being, is not the necessity. So maybe next year is probably still going to be an annual event, which is fine. And I think, like also what we did is when we realized how big this project is, and we know how important it is, this cannot fail. Nobody can come here and say, that wasn't really on point with what we should see. So we hired an Austrian agency who have been organizing fashion weeks for 15 years, because this is a whole other level. I mean, I've been doing fashion events, but not a fashion week, and nobody in Egypt has.
And it's not you can't manage it on your own anyway.
No,
of course
no.
Not.
This has so many different aspects.
No mistakes are allowed.
Exactly.
It's
are allowed.
the first
Exactly.
edition, because it's the first impression.
Of course.
It will
of
never
course.
change.
Of course.
Even if you say, but listen, next edition is going to be much better.
No,
of course.
No one will listen.
And how can people get more information? Tell us about the different platforms you're using to communicate with.
Yes, so we have, of course, the website of the Egyptian Fashion and Design Council. So all the information is on it, how to get tickets, how to, if you still want to apply to be a designer with us. We still have a few spots open. Of course, we have the Instagram account, Egypt Fashion Week 2023. TikTok is going live very soon, because TikTok is now a new partner with us, and they've planned amazing operations and for during Egypt Fashion Week.
And we're going to be adding in this interview all your links for all your website and so on, so people can just go in and click immediately. Well, Paul and Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was really great, very interesting and exciting
to have this big event happening very soon. And I'm very happy that I'm partnering with you in it. I'm really excited to be with you in this event.
Yeah, and I hope that Brad or George or Roger hear it and maybe decide, yes, let's go to
Exactly. I'll send it to them.
As we mentioned, Egypt Fashion Week takes place between May the 12th and May the 15th. You can find out more at the Council's website, the-efdc.com, and follow Egypt Fashion Week 2023 on Instagram and TikTok. See you there.